Hey, folks, welcome to the Leeds View podcast for our first podcast of the week, Mondays and Wednesdays, as well as daily Leeds United news. We are part of the Sports Social Podcasting Network, and we have a partnership with OK Jerseys for 8% off World Cup shirts for a World Cup summer using the code TView in your checkout basket if you want to support the channel. Also, you can download Finalysis and be part of our channel ratings for the players and get involved in that. Again, the link for that will be down below if you want to get involved. At the end, I'll link it at the end of the video as well. We will go through them later on this evening, but we're here to digest the fallout from the FA Cup semi-final. The cup run finally comes to an end for Leeds United, and it was a cup run, and we all wanted a cup run, and we got one all the way to Wembley, but it does come to an end, and Leeds now need to shift their focus back into what will be a massive weekend of football that could go a long way making sure this side does have Premier League football next year. I'm delighted to be joined by Gerry McNamee as per usual. Paul Brooker is out working this evening, so Andrea Russo has politely and kindly decided to step in for him. We're always happy to have Andrea with us. Their social media accounts are down below. You can check them out if you want to as well over on X. But we'll crack on. We'll start off. We'll welcome Andrea into the podcast for our Monday one and see how you're doing, Andrea. How's things?
Good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me and inviting me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and especially the way this podcast is. It's very polite, very chilled also in the way you express your thoughts. So I like it a lot. But yeah, overall good. Of course, disappointed for the game because we could just see, sense like, okay, in the back of your head, like, oh, we might get to a final, we might get into Europe if we win the final. So yeah, that thought, usually I have that when I play FIFA with Leeds, but to have it in real life, was an extra probably. But yeah, overall I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking, mate. Yeah, same as you. I did have the more, I don't know, financial realization of going, well, hang on a second. Every club that goes into the Conference League or the Europa League loses money. They don't actually make any money. Champions League is the only one you make money in. Jesus, if Leeds will get relegated and win the FA Cup, we could be in a really tight spot next season with financially. So maybe in the long run, this might not be an overly bad thing, but it does take the fun and the enjoyment out of what we're all hope. Yeah, we could do it. And even at our probably not at our best yesterday, Gerry, we managed to keep them to just the one goal, but you were there. How are you? Yeah. How was the trip and how's everything else?
It was a good day. It was a good day for Leeds fans. It was a sunny day. The M1 was full of Leeds coming down, flags everywhere. Wembley just seemed a sea of Leeds. I saw Elvis. I met Elvis. You've probably seen him on the TV. I saw him walking through the concourse, and I just said, "Ha ha!" And he acknowledged me, and I thought, "Yeah, he looked like Father Jack, didn't he?" That
he did a bit,
the Elvis later years. But he enjoyed himself. Parking was great. The view I had was a bit obstructed. We were in a sort of shelf above us, and there was a camera and stuff. I mean, Wembley, it looked great, sunshine. That's what you want, Wembley. But banners, that. Chelsea had a banner saying memories from the 70s, or great memories, albeit from the 70s. What was that about? Look, we had a manufactured banner across. We don't do banners. We don't do drums. We don't do all that. PA was rubbish. Couldn't hear anything on the PA. There was a DJ who thought she was doing all this and nobody could hear it. Nobody cared. Just stop doing that. Just get a marching band out there and a few dogs jumping through hoops. That's what Wembley is all about. It was, it was disappointing in the sense we didn't come up first half, but second half, give it a go. And we turn up with the final now that nobody wants. Man City, Chelsea. It's boring. Everybody wants to see Southampton or Leeds in there. Somebody did. Palace made it last year because they were there, and yeah, it was. I was over it very quickly. I'm not going to slag these players off. Maybe they didn't have their best day, and I'm not going to give them a hard time. They give it the best shot. It's been a great cup run, some excitement. Some players have stepped up. Perry stepped up. Perry didn't have a whole lot to do yesterday when you think about it.
Nothing
second half, he wasn't there. We had chances, and there's just the cynical element to the game. Somebody said, "Oh, you sound like a bitter loser." Not a bitter loser. They've got a £2 billion team. Our midfield's probably cost 30 million or something. And the cynical stuff. I mean, many Chelsea players were seriously injured or even died yesterday.
Caicedo could have died a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean,
tough guy.
it was ironic that it was Calvert-Lewin touched the back of his hair, and it was down. The keeper, come on. He said he was injured. Just stop this. And I love the way Ampadu went over in the middle of them. And there's got to be rules about this because it's blatant. I think the guy Neto, and I think he scraped his cheek, and agony, rolling on the ground.
Rolling.
Yeah, and it's just you just think this is not what football's about. Yeah, if you're going to kick someone, if someone's going down wrong, make sure it's a good kick. Make sure it's 1970s FA Cup final type of kick. So it was in that sense it was poor. We had chances. Brendy should have scored. Calvert-Lewin should have got a better header. Stack, what a shot! What a save! That was save of the season. That was flying in. Great to see him back. Tanaka miss hits, lots of things, but we were overrun for a bit, and we first half came back, second half. Daniel Farke changed the tactics, changed it again. He tried, so I'm all in all, I'm pleased that we got there. Disappointed we didn't score at Wembley again. Another 1972, or if you want to count the Charity Shield, another game at Wembley. But this wasn't a do or die. This wasn't a playoff where the season after 46 games after playoffs, if we lose, you're going to lose players and lose money, or you win, you go up to the Premier League. It was a nice thing to have happen, and hopefully we do it again. We get there again, because the Leeds fans travel really well, and it was great crack, and everybody was in great form. Saw lots of people I knew, and lots of families there and kids and everything. They'll remember this day. And all in all, I'm ready to move on to what's really important. And you know what? I thought coming out there, I'm glad I support Leeds and not Chelsea. I just felt I'm glad. Couldn't sell all your tickets.
Yeah.
Big gaps. Couldn't sell all your tickets. And it feels like a plastic club who I'm not going to
like Man City the day before with Southampton. There were huge gaps, empty seats there. Yeah.
Wanted to touch on that, because fair play to the journalist that decided to hold Pep Guardiola to account, because Pep came in after the press conference and sat there and went, "Not many journalists here, usually lots more." And one of the journalists went, "A bit like your fans, Pep." And Pep went, "Yeah, that's fair, but they'll be here for the final." It's like, if you have to be there the whole way, the entitlement to be like, "Well, I'm not going to go to the semi-final because we'll be in the final." It's like, come on, get out and support your team properly. And it was great to see the Leeds fans yesterday, even in the box party that was on, the stuff that was on Ellen Road, in Leeds, stuff that was on in Dublin and the Camden as well. It was great to see so many Leeds fans out and about and making themselves heard. And it was fantastic. But there was the song that went around the ground, Gerry, at one point, "United are back." And I've seen two sides of the media in the last 24 hours. There's the side of the media who have taken that out of context photograph of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Cucurella, including The Athletic, who I was so surprised ran with this really clickbaity article in that picture about, well, how come Calvert-Lewin, it was judged to have been foul when his hair was pulled, but not Cucurella? And the big difference was Calvert-Lewin's bobbin was pulled. Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't grab Cucurella's hair. He put his hand threw his hair onto his back. And then as Cucurella lands, his momentum's going forward and his hair's coming backwards. And they just took that screenshot and went, "Oh, well, look, should have been a red card." It's like, well, you clearly haven't looked at the incident, because there was no way it was a red card. And you look at that and you go, that was one side of the media.
And they does that immediately, like, "Oh, I didn't touch him."
Oh, immediately, there was no pull. There was no grab and there was no pull. So that's, did you pull his hair? Well, I didn't grab it and I didn't pull it. So no.
Yeah, but Cucurella went down in agony. I mean, surely he was hurt.
And that has to be. I mean, we talk about VAR. They need to start. They need to start coming back into. When needs to start coming back into football for me. This is my soapbox moment. Is reviewing incidents after a game and going, well, that was a dive. He needs a yellow card assigned to him. That was simulation. That should be a red card. That's trying to get a player sent off. That should be a red card. And just hit them with these suspensions afterwards, after the fact, and these will all go away pretty quickly. But they've let this happen. They've let it creep into the game. And they're letting it go. So I have no problem with a hair pull being a red card. There wasn't a hair pull. And to see one side of the media go so heavy on something that was clearly you didn't watch the game because you missed the context. The other side, and the positive side of media, were how many different outlets ran with United are back. And they had one of the ones I read into more than anything else was it wasn't just a slogan or a saying or a song that United are back. There was a real feeling yesterday that Leeds United are back and back where they belong. And we've got a bit of work to do to make sure we stay here in the Premier League. But there was a feeling of that. I mean, Leeds against Chelsea in a semi-final of an FA Cup and you lose 1-0. Yeah, it's not great to lose 1-0, but let's take that in the context of the last 10 years. We go back 10 years ago and realize where Leeds were at that point. In less than a decade, you're disappointed that you've lost 1-0 to Chelsea in a semi-final of an FA Cup that you feel you should have got there had you played better. So that tells you how far we've come in a short space of time and back to where we probably belong and we should be. So no probably about it. We should belong. So there's positives there in the negatives. It is looking for the silver lining in the cloud. And I will do that because I've managed to get over this game relatively quickly after it was over yesterday and push forward. We got our cup run. We wanted a cup run. Would it have been great to win it? Yeah. We didn't. Would we beaten Man City in the final? Probably not anyway. Who knows? But we've got a far more important game ahead of us. But there is some bits to talk about to see if there's a reaction to the players. These are the Fanatics ratings submitted by Leeds United fans yesterday on the app. And they're not great. I mean, Anton Stack's man the match off the bench with 72. Some players, Andrea, struggled yesterday. And Ethan Ampadu's comments were interesting after the game. He mentioned nerves, but then corrected himself pretty quickly to say, well, not nerves. We just weren't ourselves. But we were more of ourselves in the second half. And that was the conversation at halftime, was to go back to being yourselves. Daniel Farke talked about maybe the occasion and the fact that we haven't been in a semi-final for so long and 30-odd years, and that was the narrative coming into it, that maybe the players let that get into them a little bit. But we definitely saw a Leeds side playing within themselves in that first half. Second half, far more like it. But it was a game for big players, and unfortunately, some of our bigger players didn't show up. I think one of those I picked out an awful lot was Ethan Ampadu's passing was uncharacteristically sloppy and being intercepted very easily and putting pressure on. Pascal Struijk, who's been very, very good over the last couple of months for Leeds, and Tanaka, who's been really good in the last 3 or 4 games, kind of anonymous for most of the game as well. So that midfield battle was a problem for Leeds. But what were your thoughts on the overall and individual performances in the match yesterday?
Well, I think to summarize it is the right words to summarize it are proud for the journey that we did in the FA Cup. But yesterday, if I have to look at the performance solely at this game, of course, it was not a good performance because, like you said, some players didn't turn up for the occasion. They felt the pressure of the occasion, the amount, the stature of Wembley. I also saw bits of Southampton 2 years ago, honestly, in terms of how we approach the game in certain players. Look like, especially at the start, when they were really pressing us high, we were struggling to get out of our own half. The only time we did was when Aronson and Okafor ran with the ball, could have passed the ball, but didn't in that occasion. Won the ball. Yeah, for me, he should have passed the ball to DCL in that occasion because he was wide, left foot. He could have shot, could have a better shot compared to Okafor. Aronson should have scored there, but apart from those two, in the end, it was all Chelsea until the 35th minute of first half. We really struggled the middle. They absolutely dominated us because Ampadu and Tanaka, the main difference in the recent amount of games was that they were really moving off the ball, creating the rhythm, having the space. They didn't manage. Tanaka, compared to other games, struggled to move to provide a passing opportunity. And that's why we struggled. We always conceded the one we went to Garnacho on one side and one we went to Neto to the other one. So we were all over the place, to be fair. And Farke did the right adjustments at halftime, but it's easy, of course, in insight, when you've watched the game afterwards, to say these things. But probably Rodham should have started ahead of Justin. Longstaff was in a moment of confidence, so should have come on earlier, honestly, because it's also a player that is accustomed to these kind of games. Having played in those crucial games with Newcastle, having won also a League Cup with Newcastle. Of course, that applies also to James Justin because he was at Leicester in those games. When they won at in Wembley. But overall, I think Farke decided to go for the usual team, because it's working the recent run of games. But I think to be more conservative, they were always dragging Justin out of the back line, and leaving the space to Garnacho to play the 1v1. So probably Rodon should have started. We adjusted, of course, in the second half with the back four were more balanced. But in the end, I think the only two sufficient players, apart from Stack, who came on in the second half, in the starting 11 were Okafor and Gudmundsson for me. Honestly, all the others struggled. I think Aronson should have come off earlier too for probably Longstaff. Honestly, Nyonto should have come on earlier. This year he tried, but we kept going for the long ball in the first half. In the second half, it was always isolated for me, mate. Honestly, too much isolated. So it happens. Honestly, I wouldn't throw, like we say in Italy, I wouldn't throw the cross at them, honestly, because, of course, it was a day off. We enjoyed the run. We are a newly promoted side. We could have thought at the start of the season we would be in this situation, in this moment of the season, with in a good position to reach safety, and also with this gap from Spurs and West Ham, especially Spurs in this case, and in an FA Cup semi-final with a very short squad compared to our direct rivals. So to end this, I think it will do us good, honestly, this one, because especially if we send the Premier League, we'll learn something from this game. Like, we are not at that level yet for these big games because we don't have the game changes. In the end, Chelsea had players more accustomed. I have in my mind this action where Malo Gusto and Caicedo combined and the ball went out, and they gained the throw-in, and Caicedo was celebrating and Malo Gusto went to chest bump him, because they realized the importance of that moment where they were under pressure. Of course, they defended in a compact way, so we struggled to find solutions, and that's why I say it reminded me a lot of the Southampton game 2 years ago. But I think we will learn from this, especially the core group of players that we have in the future, because next year, probably, if we stay up, of course, we'll say stay up because we still have to reach automatic safety. We'll have one more year, one big game played, and there will be Premier League players after a full season again, and they will have these games on their shoulders, so it's a learning experience. And if you have the chance to get back there, you will approach it differently. Look at how many teams reach a UCL semi-final, Europa League semi-final, lost, and then went back and won the next time. Of course, Leeds, we don't have a good record at Wembley, so probably we have said this thing many times in the past, like next time we'll learn, but I'm confident that this group of players have the mentality to learn from this for the future 100%.
I think Wembley is, well, including Cardiff when Wembley was out of action, Gerry, I think it's eight visits and one win for Leeds. Yeah. That game probably hinged on a couple of key moments. I mean, Leeds were very much under the cosh, but if Brendan Aronson lifts that shot slightly off the ground and it goes into the back of the net, it's probably a very different game. If Pascal Struijk doesn't get his feet muddled up at the defense and they don't concede when they concede, it could again it's a very, very different game. But the game hinged on those big moments for Leeds. But it did look like a nervy performance by Leeds.
Yeah. I mean, Brendan, he got a chance like that up in Newcastle and he took it, didn't he, in the away game? And you would have backed any of them there. But yeah, I thought when it was the team I expected. It was always would be Perry or Darlow in goal, which and no surprise he went with Perry, and it was good to see Stack back on the bench. Yeah, those marks scores there probably reflect how we were. Pascal, I've been his biggest fan since things went well and still do, but it was a mistake. It happens, and it was punished. Be-all a few minutes earlier, a poor header which resulted in hitting the inside of the post and somehow didn't go in. As you say, Calvert-Lewin was a bit isolated. I think they had two players on. I think that they set out to disrupt Calvert-Lewin, and he's great. He's always good in the air. That header, he probably had to get under it to try and get a bit of power into it, and he just didn't get the direction. And it was unfortunate. Shame it didn't come across a bit of pace. All of them. I thought Gudmundsson didn't. He wasn't getting down the left-hand side as much as he he used to, or he has been. I think that was more his defensive. But he has a good game. And I say Tanaka game bypassed him a bit, but it was difficult in among with that midfield that Chelsea have got. They came to fruition.
An extra
and the
player
subs,
in there as well, I think, should be said by
Yeah.
Chelsea. Chelsea did have 3-man midfield, Leeds did 2.
Yeah.
That's why we changed at halftime, and that's
and it showed.
Yeah.
It was good that he changed it. It was, I mean, Justin. It wasn't for anything he did or be all. It was strike and road on as I suppose the regular pair, and we go for it at the back, and that made sense. Probably it was. I think it was picked up by a few pundits. Said we probably needed more crosses going in, and we probably lacked that a bit yesterday. I mean, Okafor, when he runs at someone, he's got it to do something. And when he gets that ball, he'll run. I think he give them a lot of hassle. One thing I did like about Goodmanson, especially in the second half, when he did get down that wing, he hit it in first time, and that he does it so well. He gets some great crosses in. I thought the subs. You're right about Longstaff. I thought when he came on, I thought he did get stuck in because he looked a bit lost in a couple of games when he was coming back. And I think he's knocking on the door. And Metcha was unfortunate to get a booking when he won the ball, and he was taken out. Willie didn't really get going. And all in all, it's, as I said, just a bit below par. But I think I said before, we've got a team that's a core of a good squad. It doesn't need major regeneration, but we need probably four quality players to add to this. Probably one being a midfielder, a number 10. Hey, how long have we been looking for a number 10? Someone who gets in there and controls it. Someone who wins and someone can control and hit that pass. And we're lacking that at the minute. But to get to where we were, this cup run, the fight we've showed, the 2 penalty shootouts, and brushing aside Derby and Norwich as well. We can only look back with fondness on it, really, and it wasn't a desperate performance. I think Leeds fans just wanted something to celebrate down there, and it wasn't to be. But I think most people are over it now, and as I say, we look forward. The only worrying thing at the end was Goodmanson. I think he may have done his hamstring. Yeah,
he's got he does have a hamstring problem. Yeah,
and if he has pulled his hamstring, that could be him for the season, given the 4 games left, which is worrying. But we got James Justin, who's he's a regular now. It's hard to drop him. Yeah, it's hard to drop him.
Means Joe Rodon comes back in and he goes to left back. So I mean, you're not.
Yeah. And Joe Rodon. Again, he looked a bit rusty against Bournemouth, but again, he's got a few minutes on, and I think we'll see Joe Rodon or Joe Rodon back. And I like Daniel Farke at the end, classy. He again didn't have to say it, but we knew what he meant when he asked about the goalkeeper. He said, "I don't need sentence, stay classy." And he knew exactly what he meant.
Well, we'll talk about that briefly then, because we've been saying this for weeks and probably a couple of months now. If the league aren't going to do anything about this, they're all breaking the rules. Right?
Yeah.
As the league keeps saying, there's nothing we can do about it. There's 3 Chelsea coaches on the pitch. Now, they're outside their technical area. By the letter of the law, they can all be booked because it's a goalkeeper down injured. It's not a water break. So they can all be booked. So can the manager, right? The players leaving the pitch. You're not allowed to step off the pitch either, by the way, if there's a player getting injured. So the second they step off the pitch, they can all be booked as well. So while that's not being enforced by the league, Ethan Ampadu clearly listening to a lot of people online, as Gerry said before we came on. And he decides, right, lads, over we go. And the Leeds players go straight into the middle of that. And I don't think Chelsea got the benefit of that reset because it didn't really change the flow of the game that much afterwards. And Leeds just went in and decided to cause a bit of problem. And until the league decided to do something about that, of what was probably the most egregious version we've seen this year, because there was a camera in the goal mouth. And you can see the Chelsea player walk over and instruct the goalkeeper to go down, who turns around, walks back to his goal line and sits down. It's so blatantly obvious. So, I mean, I think their manager even kind of said, look, it's been done to us this year. That doesn't make it okay. But it was nice, Andrea, to see Ethan Ampadu go, feck this. I'm just going to go into the middle of this and disrupt it. About time.
Yeah, he needed to, honestly, because how many times did it happen to us this season, honestly? It's
like the 5th or 6th time.
And they're to call us dirty Leeds when they're doing dirty tactics like that, other teams. Honestly, it's not a good look for the game because otherwise, if you want to have a timeout, then change the rules of the game and adapt it to basketball when they have timeouts. Like volleyball, we don't have timeouts in apart from the cooling breaks, of course, when it's really hot, you know.
Yeah.
But there was no cooling break yesterday, so you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, and we've seen that in the past. Man City in the first game at the Etihad, you know, and earlier in the season. It's not good because it disrupts the flows of the game again. Breaks momentum. In the end, momentum probably is not the right word, because yesterday, okay, second half, I will define that like half for each team, because first half they were better up to the 34th minute, like I said. Then we adjusted. Second half, we were better in terms of possession, but we really lacked that sense of urgency. We really never had momentum, you know. In the end, we relied too much on Okafor on the left to create something. Like Gerry said, honestly, Nyonto didn't have an impact on the right. Same as Bogle, because in the end we relied, like I said, Okafor and Goodmanson were the only one that really tried to have an impact also with 1v1s. I remember Goodmanson once, he turned back towards our own half, you know, had to do a 360 with the ball, then run, because there was no support near him, you know. So in the end, probably, like I said, it's a learning process. It's a learning process, because we didn't know how many times the team last season not figure out how to beat us, you know, with the low blocks. Actually, it was us, not the other team. Sorry, especially 2 years ago, you know, the first season on the Clark, we struggled a lot against low blocks. This time, you don't expect, honestly, Chelsea Football Club, you know, won the Champions League some years ago, to defend for the lives in the second half against Leeds with a low block, honestly, because they didn't create anything in the second half, basically.
They didn't.
Perry didn't have to do nothing, and that's why it had a sour taste, you know. Because in the end, we weren't great, but they weren't either, you know. So had we probably changed earlier with the long stuff between the lines, stuck Nyonto probably, because we really didn't explore the right hand side, you know. So again, I'm not disappointed by the players. Honestly, it was a bad performance. I know what they've done this season, but I have this sour taste in the back of my mouth, you know, and not in the back of my head, of course, because of genetic in this case. But because they were there for the taking, you know. It doesn't go off my head. Like, could have we done something? Could have we done something better? Yes. So again, but there's also an entitlement of our team respect us, you know, because if they had thought we were better, you know, they would have done like City with Southampton, but they didn't. So they defended. They are also in the midst of a process, of course, because they have sacked Rosenior, interim manager, taking over till the end of the season. A lot of disruption. They need to go back to the basics of football. So they go back to the basics, scored and defended the narrow advantage. Yeah, and it worked for them, unfortunately.
No, it did. It did. But I think there's probably, I don't know, it's hard to say it, but the teams that have done that against us this year, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, who've gone, hang on a second, drop the keeper down. We got to fix this. It does to Gerry's point that there is a good base of a Leeds squad here that is troubling certain sides a little bit this season. So hopefully we can build on that somewhere. We got to get to the summer first, so we need to move on now. Gerry, let's talk about. Let us talk about the league. We got Burnley Friday night. I think we go first this week. So we've got sorry, I'll press the right button here in a second. I'll get up on screen. I'm twice deleting it. Here we go. It's a big weekend, Gerry, because we saw last weekend in that current little block of four we've kind of identified as being what will decide the season. We got a draw against Bournemouth, a good draw away from home, considering how that game was going against, from my money, probably one of the best attacking sides we played against this year. Yeah. West Ham went and got a win against Everton. Forest smashing Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. I think Sunderland are on the beach and have decided to pack it in for the summer. And Spurs just about beating Wolves, and they weren't great, and Wolves are probably the better side in the second half in that game. But we're still where we are. We still have our little gap. It's not quite as big as it was, but we go into this weekend's round of games. We're at home to Burnley. We have to react the right way after that. Leeds need to bottle up the frustration of that game and the knowledge they have all said it. They weren't their best, and they have to attack it from their best moving forward and bring that into Friday night's game. And then you're looking at West Ham going away to a very good Brentford side who've been very good at home this season. Forest are away at Chelsea, and Spurs are away at Aston Villa, who are going for Champions League football. So it could be, again, another very pivotal week. If we can come out of this weekend 9 points clear of Spurs, then that means we go there knowing a draw is enough for safety this season.
I think the one thing I think I said the other night was, surely all the other teams can't win. All of them this weekend. Yeah, they all did. It
Maybe
just shows
again. Yeah, there he is again.
And they say lack of the Irish, and they say lack of the Irish guys. Come on.
Yeah, lack of the Irish, I think. But I was walking out of Bournemouth the other night and thinking, I think we're nearly there. And I just feel that little bit of tension come back out. I was my neighbours think I'm mad. I was in the garden swearing at Spurs, and then thought, well, Everton have equalised, and then swearing. All I heard was a cheer and 2-1. And I thought, Wilson. Yep. But it's important. Yeah, we got to go into this game, and I think the players will. I think the players know that this is important, and I think there won't be. Well, I'm guessing, but they'll be over it, and by then it's very important. And we play first on Friday night, and we get the win. The pressure is really on. And those 3 games, you look at it, away to Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. I mean, if we had got Chelsea 1 game ago, would have been good. But away to Chelsea now, they're playing for that manager. They like him. You can tell he's got results from before. Brentford away, they're still battling for Europe, and Brentford are a decent team, as we know. And Villa lost at the weekend, but they're still challenging for Europe, and they're a bit streaky at the moment, Villa. But I think Tottenham, I mean, even though they've won, they've lost.
Simmons out for the rest of the season.
He definitely will be crying. He's got the whingiest face you've ever seen, but you don't like he's out of the World
as well, which is
he's out of the World Cup, which you don't. That's sad for any young player, he's going for the World Cup. So I have sympathy for him there, but he's a whingy looking bugger. So their list is so it's. I hope there's no nerves. I think the fans were still a bit touchy. I've got one friend who's the most pessimistic fan I know, and even after the Bournemouth game, he was saying nearly after this weekend. I seen him yesterday, and he's we're going down. So I don't think it's that bad, but it's fight. If we win, I think we're okay. A win is vital, and we're well capable of doing it. Burnley, we owe them one. I think that the players will be up for it. If we're without Gabby, we've got Justin coming in. Longstaff's come. Stack perfect time. It used to be a Leeds player. Used to be he's out for a couple of weeks, and then he's out for months, and then he's having an operation. Yeah, the medical team this year, because Stack and Rodon were out till early next month, which we thought would be this game, and they're probably hopefully ready to come back. Rodon's had a couple of sub appearances. Stack looked really good yesterday, so that's a bonus and pivotal. And I think. I'll say it again. I don't think the other 3 teams will win this weekend, and we've got to. And I said the Man United and Bournemouth results. It's just the Man United results seemed like a bonus. Bloody vital now. That was massive, and that's probably the one that gets across the line. In 2 weeks' time, heading down to Seven Sisters. If we need a point, I think we'll be there. I think we've got enough to get 3-4 points in these last 4 games, definitely. And by the time we get to West Ham, we've got a cigar on, bring our deck chairs, bring the starters and the main course, and bring the barbecue, and we can just be on our holidays and have the best day out ever, and see what happens. And let the other 3 worry. If you're looking at, a lot of people have said to me, normal people who aren't Leeds fans or Forest fans, and they're saying, well, you're all right. And interesting, listening to the conversation. I was listening to 606 and a lot of stuff come back out of talking about relegation. And Leeds there wasn't much mention of us. So people think because we're in 40, we'll do it. As Leeds fans, we know that's rubbish, and we're still panicking. But if we win on Friday night, I'm pretty confident that that's enough. But it'll be nervous because we know what happens. We know what can happen at Leeds.
Yeah. Well, we've broken some of those streaks this year outside of Wembley. That's its own longer term thing. But Andrea, this week of all of the, again, looking at those fixtures coming up, and again, the big factor here is the fact that we're running out of games. So the available points is less and less every week, which that's how maths works. But there's 12 points available right now. If we can get a win against Burnley, it is still an if. We have to get a win in that game. That is probably for me a vitally important fixture this year. If we get that 3 points, You're going into 9 points left to play for, and depending how the weekend goes with the other three, especially Spurs, you could be more than 9 points clear coming out of that weekend. So you could be done. Like, there's work to do still, but regardless of West Ham and Forest, it's really important that we better whatever Spurs do this weekend. If we can, if they get a draw, we get a win. If they lose, we get a draw or a win, just to keep those points taken over. It's going to be huge for me. And I don't know how you feel about this. Actually, I'll get to that in a sec, because Gerry, just on your point there, people were saying, like, Leeds are probably still in this. There was a couple of journalists or pundits that were saying, well, Leeds aren't out of this. Yeah. If Leeds aren't out of this, then Newcastle United aren't out of this either, because they're only 2 points ahead of Leeds right now as well. But Andrea, this is, for me, a defining week of the season. This can dictate an awful lot what happens in that bottom three this weekend. So you want to talk about cup finals and semi-finals and big moments and big games and big game players. This is the one for me where they all have to show up and they have to treat this like a cup final and go and get that result Friday night.
Absolutely. You said one defining week of the season for me. It is the defining week of the season, because look at our fixture. It's the easiest among the four left in the end. Yeah. Burnley, it's a team that has already got relegated mathematically. So, of course, on the side, they won't come on a holiday to Elland Road, because we've seen Wolves, they're causing problems to anyone. Burnley will do the same till the end of the season. Especially, I've seen a poll like 3 or 4 years ago that said, ask every fan base who they dislike the most, and who they dislike the most the second after the most hated fiercest rivals. And I remember the Burnley fan says, of course, first Blackburn and second Leeds. So for them, it is a fixture that they really care about. So their fan base would be, okay, let's go to Leeds and disrupt their safety plans, But we need to take the 3 points, mate, 100%, because after that, there's Spurs, then, of course, Brighton, and end of the season, West Ham. I think if we win the next one versus Burnley, we can just take 1 point out of the next three and we are safe. Because like Gerry said, I don't think all the three other teams will win this week, because looking at all the teams involved in this relegation battle, I think we have the easiest run of fixtures, because if you look at them, they have Arsenal, they have, of course, Villa, Spurs. Look at Forest too, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United, and Bournemouth. Bournemouth are in form too. West Ham, they were really clutch when they beat Everton, because now they go to Brentford, a team that has been really good, like you said, at home. Then they have Arsenal, Newcastle, and us on the final day of the season. Tottenham, for me, I still, like I said, one of the last times we talked about this, I think it was 2 months ago, one of the first time we talked about the relegation run in. I said, for me, Spurs are going down. I still think Spurs will go down for me, because, okay, Villa, they probably take a point there. Their crucial game is the one at home against us. And that would be also a crucial game for us to get mathematically safe. So that would be another final, even if we win against Burnley. But after that, they go to Chelsea, of course, London derby, West against North. And then they have Everton at home in the final day of the season. But if West Ham can take a result at Brentford and Spurs lose, the pressure will go back to Spurs. So I still think the Spurs are the most likely one out of these four teams to go down. Because even against Wolves, I watched them in the last 2 games, Brighton and Wolves. They celebrated like they were safe, basically, with that worthy by Xavi Simons. Then when Brighton had completely dominated the second half, they were distracted. A lot of times they were lucky, and then in the end, eventually, when they were distracted, Jorginho punished them. Same against Wolves, because in the end, Wolves weren't bad. They were safe in the final minute of the season. Spurs, of course, by that save from Antonin Kinski. Very criticized this season, but in that moment, he made a huge save, 100%. But going back to us, is monumental that we take 3 points against Burnley, then maybe a point against Spurs away in Tottenham, and we're safe for me. I think we are safe if we win against Burnley, because other teams will drop points in the next round of fixtures, honestly. But maybe 3 points and then a point to Spurs, and then we'll reach mathematically safety, honestly. But we need to go now and react, because like you said, it's like a final in terms of relegation battle for us. So like we saw in that game against Chelsea, you know, when that infamous run started, they reacted after that, those bad run on games at the start of the season. They need to do it now again, because after a bad performance like the one at Wembley, we've seen it many times in the season, or maybe a not so good performance, then the next performance was great in terms of intensity, in terms of commitment. So I think they will perform and they will deliver, honestly, against Burnley. I'm very confident, to be fair. I'm usually not, but I'm really confident in this group of players for the game against Burnley, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the reactions from the players this season, when they've needed a reaction, have been very strong. I think that's where you look at this. And again, I think, Gerry, when you look at the overall form guide in the Premier League right now, I mean, Leeds are one of the form sides. Unfortunately, so are Nottingham Forest and so are West Ham United at the moment. That the three teams scrapping it out there above Spurs are all form sides right now. And Forest are playing some fantastic football at the moment, and Pereira's got them singing. But there is a tough run of games coming up. Your thoughts on this? Do you see this as a defining weekend, or do you think that there's still a bit more ground to run on this should the worst case scenario happen?
It's got. I think if we win and some of the others don't, especially Spurs, I think it is defining. If you look at all those games that are left, most of those teams have something to play for. You know, you might say Newcastle. I don't think they might need a couple more points, and maybe Everton, but everybody else is fighting for Europe, for Champions League. Relegation, obviously, the two teams we play, and it's in our control as well, because we've played 4 of the bottom 5 in the last few weeks, so it's important, and we're getting the results. So yeah, it is defining. Get an early goal, settle the crowd, and go for it. I don't want it to be a nervous night, but you know, it's funny things that happen, and sometimes teams that are relegated can, you know, as you say, Burnley come to Ellen Road. We disrupted over the. I remember those games where we had nothing, and I think we stopped Watford going up one year, and there was another game. I'm trying to. I'm searching my memories, but when we were in the Championship, going nowhere, we caused problems for the team. I'll say the Wigan game again on Good Friday. No away wins, down to 10 men. We miss a penalty.
Why would you bring that up?
Just if you say it, it doesn't happen. You know, that's it. If we say it doesn't happen. So it'll happen. No. And I was thinking that the Wolves game, but if the Wolves game was anything to go by, just get on the front foot straight away, get at him, and go win 3-0, and then go and kick Hannibal up the arse, because he needs it. He needs a good smack, that fella. So yeah, that'd be the perfect scenario, perfect night. And then we sit back at the weekend, and the pressure's on everybody else then. And if you're Spurs or West Ham looking up, think Leeds are probably safe. We won't be thinking that. But if we win, we go into 14th place. You know, that's forgotten. We jump over Newcastle, even just for the 24 hours or whatever it is. And we got to look upwards in that sense. And we could easily. I think we are probably a 11th, 12th place team, and some of the chances we've not put away. I think that we're better than this. But that doesn't mean we're in it now, but it's got to be defined. So let's get a win on Friday night. It's the nicest way is when you've got the 3 points on the board, watch everybody else, and you know, pressure's off. And if a couple of them if they all get draws, great. You know, and as you say, what we've done all season, this is the first time really that everybody's gained points on us, even though it's a good result for us. We've just kept it ticking over. Just when if it goes to 4 points, then we get it out again, and it's just that, keep it ticking over. Everything says we should win Friday night. It is, and as Andrea says,
nervous, Gerry. That makes me nervous.
I know. I'm nervous. I am nervous. I'm more nervous than I was Friday morning or after coming back from Bournemouth. Yeah, I'm more nervous now, because of course any other year we're sitting mid-table, aren't we? Any other year, and we're thinking, is 43 points going to be enough? And it is. It's been a mad season. You look at the distribution of points right across the league. It's so close. It's so close with the European spots as well. And I said, another couple of wins, couple of not conceding, we could have been pushing for Europe. That's how mad it is. And look, Sunderland are only 6 points ahead of us now, and they've had a great season. So yeah, if we get the 3 points, let's go and try and catch Sunderland. That'll be the funniest thing ever, and revindicate us. But yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Well, fingers crossed we will be. We'll have a preview before the end of the week. Anyway, there was no news today, by the way. I had an intruder in my house last night. A crow got into my attic last night, so we were up all night trying to sort out that problem. So there was no news this morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning with news because he's gone now. Well, he's gone temporarily at least. So yeah, you get the news out in the morning. Then we get ready for the build-up. We'll have Danny Farker's press conference. We'll have the preview show over on bigup.com, and then we get ready moving in to Friday night's game against Burnley. Massive thank you to Andrea Russo and for Gerry McNamee. You can find Gerry McNamee at GerryMac123 over on X. He's also on the Talking Leeds podcast, which is linked down below. And you can check out Andrea Russo at _Russo _14 on X. That's his new X account. Sorry, I'll use your old one. He's back on X. That's his new X account. Go follow him over there. And you can also check him on the Unfiltered podcast over on Locky Leeds as well. So plenty of places around there.
I'm just going to say, sorry. It must be a sign if a crow is in your house.
Oh, is
it?
There
must mean something. You know,
I hope it means
a crow comes into your house, you're staying up. I think that's the old saying. Sorry, Gerry.
Well, I did stay up. I stayed up till about 4 o'clock. So yeah.
Well, that's it.
It's a sign. It's an omen. There we go. That's what we're looking for.
Sorry, Gerry, interrupted your flow.
You're fine.
What did the Celts, the ancient Druids in Celtic history, interpret the arrival of a crow? Either a crow, not a magpie, not a Newcastle fan, of course.
But see, I'm involved with Meath FC, who are is the Raven, which is the Morgan, which is the goddess of war. So
like a crow.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. That's a positive omen. At the moment, I'm with my eyeballs in Meath FC stuff. So yeah, that has to be a positive. Folks, just on the last few bits and pieces, the Finalysis stuff, you can download the link down below. Massive thanks to everyone who has downloaded Finalysis, followed us over there, and gotten involved in the re-ratings. Finalysis have extended their agreement with us till the end of the season. So massively appreciate everyone supporting us there. And also OK Jersey down below. If you want to get some good, very good quality shirts, order a size up if you are ordering. 8% off. Use the code TView at okjersey.com for your shirts, tracksuits, or anything for the kids there as well. Outside of that, that will be it for us tonight. Back tomorrow morning with the news and to the rest of what will be hopefully a very busy week for Leeds. And I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.